Hey, good morning, everybody. Another great day to be alive. Another great day to be a currency trader. Is it August 30th already? Wednesday before non-farm payrolls, which means it's another dumb prediction day. Yeah, another dumb prediction. ADP. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, however, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Ni hao ma, namaste. My name is Wayne McDonell. I am the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. Your diamonds in the sky. Thank you very much for being a client. I am here. I am charged with the duty of helping you become a successful, consistent, conservative, disciplined currency trader. We want to earn your loyalty and respect. So I'm here Monday through Friday here at Forex.Today to assist. Please ask questions, get involved. We'll do technical analysis, fundamental analysis, trader psychology, whatever you need to succeed. This Friday, however, I will be at FX Street for Trade Non-Farm Payrolls Live, month 136 in a row. So cool. Hey, what's up, Mr. T? So anyways, great trading week. Today is a big day. Tomorrow's a big day. Friday's a big day. There's a lot going on. Next week's a big week. The week after that's a big week, so on and so forth. So lots of good, interesting things going on in the world. Might as well start with some yens. Classic, huh? Classic scenario. You spend some time building a portfolio. Geopolitical risk out of the blue comes in, knocks you out, and takes you heading back up again, huh? It's amazing how there's always something. There's always something, isn't there? There was a little bit of a, breakout type thing. So you have to then plan for the next step, right? The next step being this and this. Price action, technical analysis, whatever you want to call it. What do you think? Now, one thing to observe here is what we did yesterday was look at monthly pivots. You could also take a look at the price action as I've outlined here. But what about the moving averages? Right, Joe. Right. And I think we've talked about that as well. I think yesterday we talked about, portfolio manager. In fact, thousands of portfolio managers, all these PMs with $1 billion to play with. And it's not enough for them to dump 7 years worth of work, right? So it's important to think that way. It takes a long time to build these positions, especially in equities, right? So there's a lot going on here. Pivot-wise, that's the projected bottom. Higher high predicts the higher low, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Right? Breakout, retracement, higher high, higher low, a little bit of consolidation off that news event, and so on and so forth. I don't think we were here yesterday, but it's also then important to acknowledge that the monthly R1 is also being respected, like the monthly S1, and even this monthly M3, even the central pivot. I mean, these are very particular numbers based on what happened in the month of July, and they seem to be important. People are using them, in my humble opinion. Amazing, huh? So we hit the weekly bottom. The theory is if you hit your target early in the week, it retraces back. But this is obviously very unusual to hit the weekly bottom and then hit the weekly top. Right? Unusual, but these are the types of events. So it broke out, it didn't drop. So you can see this would have been a failed trade plan if you sold it high. It's okay, it's still the right thing to have done. Flipped at the bottom, went to the top, so that it begs the question, you know, what's next? Are you going to buy a drop down into the moving averages and head up? Are you going to treat it like a breakout type trade, maybe? Okay. Notice how, if I zoom in a little bit, there is a cluster in here, isn't there? Right? Can you see the weekly and monthly there? Well, Joe says I'm not going to risk considering the events. Well, what, you know, on the calendar, which is fine. But what if, like, plan for it now. Ask yourself, Joe, what if ADP or whatever is important enough that we break through this area? What do you do? If this drops lower, what do you do? Are you a buyer or a seller? Okay, if it breaks higher, what kind of entry are you going to look for? If it comes up and then down, are you going to buy in this zone here? And I'd even draw it on the charts. Print out the chart and then actually draw it. It's like having a contract with yourself. Right? So a lot of people early in their career, what happens to them, not everybody, but a lot of people, what happens to them is they spend 4 hours planning and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they throw down 3 trades out of just reaction or boredom or whatever. And all of a sudden they got 3 trades and there was no real plan. It was all reaction. Like you're sitting there for 4 hours planning, all of a sudden a giant green candle, and you're like, "Oh, I'm missing it," and then and then you react. So maybe having a rule of engagement. If you haven't printed out a chart and then drawn it with a marker, then you do not have the right to pull the trigger. Like you have to have a contract with yourself. You have to walk all the way over to the printer. And also the printer is expensive, right? Although I have a new deal with HP. I don't know if you guys are doing that. You just pay a flat fee and you have this unlimited amount of printing. But anyway, so you can print out your chart and then draw the future area to the right, and that's your plan, and then you post it in front of you, and you do that or you don't do that, but you can't do anything else. Whatever prevents you from chasing, right? There's the beast, just quite remarkable. Notice that it flipped at the roll reversal. I think we were down here yesterday. Okay. So I'm still alive here. Fine. I think I'm back up 200 pips again. So now what? Should I lock in some profit? Nah, not till the next breakout, I think. Need one more breakout. And then this is the saddest one here. I was long 200,000 right at this orange line. The news came down, took me out, and then it's back up. Sucks, doesn't it? Remember, I was long on this double bottom, higher, low, reversal 1, 2, 3 scenario. So I was actually long down here. I mean, look. Yeah, me too. It's just too bad, though, huh? I mean, it was that close. Yep. Oh, well. Notice again, though, how the support and resistance is so important. And these big pivots, too, right? MS1 to central pivot. So the thing is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to use this as support and long it? Are you going to use the next one as support and long that? Are you going to use the moving average? Okay, I don't really care. The part I care about is that you're planning for it now. Okay? A bear would have already sold it, so it can't be, right? No, Joe says wait for the breakout of this. Why would you do that? Why is that important? Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're a bull. I'd rather you be concerned about where the support is. Unless you think it's range bound. If you think it's range bound, then you need to short at the central. If you think it's trending up, you need to buy low. Who cares about the resistance if you're a bull? See, a bull believes we're trending. Okay? So if you're trending, there is no resistance. There's only, the ebb and flow of things, right? Your job is to buy at support, buy at support, buy at support, buy at support, buy at support. There is no resistance. Resistance is futile. Join the Rebel Forex. So that's your concern is the support, so you can get in. Okay. So to me, the two closest areas in which I may consider buying is this one and this one. Okay. You might want to look at psych levels and stuff. This just happens to be 87. It's kind of interesting, right? So Suki says waiting. So what if you did, let's say you're trading one standard lot. What if you bought a half a lot now and then put a working order down here for another half a lot just above 87, like 87.05 or something? You know what I mean? Sort of like waiting for a bus, the bus stop on a super, super cold day. You can let a whole bunch of buses go because they're not the right bus, but you can freeze to death. So sometimes just getting on a bus, any bus, it's better than freezing to death, right? So, you know, like, right? So you do that, and then you can do this. Done. You know what I'm talking about? Baby, slow down. The end is not as far as the start. Please stay a child somewhere in your heart. All right, you can see a beautiful little bounce here, and then this is a sell zone. So if you think it's going to continue down, risk off, you drop it, you sell it. Roll reversal, moving averages, so on and so forth. Give you everything you want. If you think this is going to go risk on again, bullish, it's too early, in my humble opinion. You are the first of your kind. Well, let's just do gold. This is awkward, isn't it? No decent pivots. Yeah, 10:30 WTI. Yeah, you bet. It's just such a weird trade. How do you want to trade this? Like down like this, eh? Maybe buy a dip at 13 again? Maybe that's all it is. So watch this. You can do this. Boom. Edit. Make that $1,300 an ounce. Boom. Roll reversal, 50% psych level. How do you get your support gray bars? Check this out. I click on draw a rectangle, and I do that. Yours is probably set like this right now. View, no, insert, shapes, rectangle. Is that what you mean, Juan? Cool. There you go, Juan. Yeah, so you probably want to do like view, toolbars, customize, and then move your rectangle over. You're going to find it's trickier than it should be, but if you stick with it, no matter how long it takes, what you're actually doing is teaching yourself how to use your trading platform. So it doesn't matter how long it takes, because you need to master your trading platform. So that's that. Gold, it's in a weird situation, I think. Peso, I think we talked about it yesterday. It's your prerogative if you want to sell. We know the sell is coming. We just don't know when. So I don't know how you want to treat this. Okay? So at some point, if you plan on selling it for the repatriation trade on Friday, you know, jam your stop and take a walk, right? Notice the monthly pivot is in here as well. So I think it's helpful knowing that you want to be short anyways. But it's a little dangerous. Now, I think yesterday I kind of cautioned you against it, but I said you could do it, right? The short off the double top. You certainly should have been looking for the roll reversal, because this is just simple price action. So again, I'll caution you to make sure you know what you're doing. And oh, that's right. I said you could do it, and we really talked about very actively managing the risk in the trade, maybe more so than others because of the geopolitical aspect of the recent move, right? That I remember. Cool. Okay. What do you want to do? Look at this double bottom. I have it marked like 10 times over. I have this double, the top area marked 10 times over. I think we should still trade it like a range, but it sure smells like it's going to break, huh? So how about this? If you're a bear, you need to be selling this. But it's a range trade. So remember the parts of the range, and we did cover this yesterday. The most important thing in a range is that you're at support or resistance. Nothing else matters than that. Then, if you're at support and resistance, then you use an oscillator. See? Like, for example, see how this is 95% oversold? Sorry, 92% oversold? Okay. Are we at support in the range? No. Here, we're actually less oversold. We're only 91% oversold. Are we at support? Yes. And the entry is when this goes back into the trade zone. See, this is when you enter, right here. That's not straight, obviously. So it's just right after the 5A cross, okay? And you say, well, Wayne, what about the 2155? There is no 2155. You can delete them. They don't exist. They're dead. Anybody know why? There's no trend either. You need a trigger, Brandon. So I would say the 5A cross or the oscillator moving back into the trade zone. Okay? You see how much more clear it is? See, what I did is I removed the noise. You have to know what the noise is. You have to be able to define it. Because we're in a range-bound market, there's no trend, there's no market. We're range-bound. Everything is neutral. Neutral trend, neutral market conditions. So delete them. So now there's only price. Is price at support, yes or no? If yes, trade the 5A cross. Let's say you don't even need this. Okay? Let's say it crossed here. Are you at support and resistance? No. Look, it crossed up here. Are you at support? No. Forget it. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's only relevant here. Are you at resistance? Yes. 5A cross, take a shot. If you're a bear, take a shot. Did it drop all the way down? No. You still sell at resistance. You still buy at support. Okay? This is the US dollar versus everything. Looks like a lot of this is related to the US dollar, huh? So if we trend, add the 2155 back, add the 200 back. You can ignore the oscillator if you want. Yeah, and I believe, Nuno, I cautioned you guys about it. About the fact that just because the storm, you should buy oil. I think I cautioned on that for various fundamental reasons. And one of the things I remember talking about, I'm not sure of the context, but I remember talking about this time of year is when they shut down many of the refineries anyways, because they've already stockpiled their oil. They've already stockpiled gasoline. So they're shutting down gasoline production, which is normal, and they're not buying oil, because the only people that buy crude oil is refineries. So it was actually kind of the best time of year for such a tragedy to hit the oil industry. They were shut down anyways. Right. Now, Pete, if this happened in May or November, there would probably be a different reaction. So, are oil refineries buying oil right now? The answer is no. Right? It's interesting, isn't it? Now, gasoline is probably way up if you're trading gasoline futures. But I wouldn't mind considering buying oil futures soon, maybe. I wouldn't mind thinking that we're in a 45-55 mode between now and the end of the year. In particular, if we have an unusually cold winter. So, like, what if this happened later in the season And somehow that translated to New York and Boston being dumped on record-breaking amounts of snow. Because the amount of rain they've had in Houston is epic. They're getting like feet per day for days and days and days. It's biblical proportion type stuff. Well, maybe not that bad, but it's way more than usual. So what if something like that happened and it was New York City and Boston and Philadelphia got shut down in the winter, and it was cold, and more importantly, so here's the thing, it snows enough that people have to stay home, they can't go to work, so now they're at home jacking up their furnaces, creating demand for heating oil, which is a derivative of crude oil, which means refineries need to buy it and crack it and hack it and frack it and turn it into a product, right? So anyways, this kind of feels far enough. It's sort of the midway point here. So a hypothesis here is that our new normal is 45.55, not 40.50. What do you think? Okay. So we got to watch this green zone as maybe a buy zone. Maybe. All right, Nuno says MS1, but that's way down there, isn't it? That's 42.50, right? That's another $4 drop. That would probably shatter my 45.55 idea. But I'm just thinking that this spike to the monthly is the bottom. Let's just kind of do I'm going to guess like maybe it comes down to MS2 one more time. That it kind of does this, or it kind of does that. One of the two, and we start making higher highs and higher lows. Maybe it's just total guess here. Hypotheses only. Your MS1 is at 46? No. That would be your weekly. WS1. Right? Yeah, I suppose you could squeeze that in there, Mickey. I've seen better. I wouldn't call it perfect. So let me change the template if you guys think my number might be off. Oh, okay, yeah. So I refreshed. I'm sorry, you're right. MS1, it ends up being the same thing. All right. Yeah, so you're right. The MS1, I had it as central, but I cleared it up. So yeah, all right. Same thing, maybe. Okay. I'm going to be more convinced when we're above this area. Okay? Because right now this is a downtrend. You don't want to make a habit buying in a downtrend, But you can make a habit of expecting reversal patterns at key levels of support in a downtrend, and then maybe adding to the trade after it breaks a higher high or makes a higher high. Well, in that case, how do you want to manage that first trade, which is by definition risky? You're picking a bottom, and that strategy in the long run stinks. Ma 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 do da do da. Oh, do da day.
This is a 24-hour live broadcast test channel from the Trade the News Broadcast Network. If you are hearing this message, your sound card and network configuration are working properly, and you are now ready to listen to our other voice channels. If the audio is not broadcast quality, is not clear, or is choppy, please read over our support page at www.tradethenews.com/help.asp for a list of common sound and network quality adjustments. You may reach our support desk 24 hours a day at support@tradethenews.com.
So what do you guys want to do? Euro dollar? What do you want to do? 25-25 OCO? $25.25. Little smiley, happy face there. So notice we're at support on a 4-hour 21, daily support 1.
We're inside 1 minute to the ADP employment report. We'll get you the headline number, then the revision and color as soon as possible. ADP employment expected 185,000. That'll be up to 178 previously, and this number has been overshooting the non-farm payroll estimates on a pretty regular basis over the last couple of years.
So once again, thank you for being a client to TradersWay, guys. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here every day as well.
Just a couple seconds for the ADP out early, 237,000 for ADP, a beat there.
230.
The back month, July revised to 201,000 for ADP, revised up to 201,000 from 178. Small businesses grew at 48,000, large businesses at 115,000. Manufacturing saw nice growth of 16,000 with 18,000 growth in construction. Mark Zandi saying the job market continues to power forward. Creation is strong across nearly all industries and company sizes. Mounting labor shortages are set to get much worse, and the initial BLS improvement estimate is often very weak in August due to measurement problems and subsequently revised higher. The ADP number is not impacted by the numbers that will be affecting the BLS report.
We're caught up on something. What are we caught up on? Am I missing something? Psych level, maybe? No, I have, well, mine says we're through it.
South Africa reporting a monthly budget deficit of 92.2 billion rand for the month of July. That's South Africa. It's a larger than expected deficit. Right? The dollar moving to session highs against the rand 13.05. Session highs against the dollar rand following the bigger than expected deficit for South Africa.
That's a pretty quiet response. Muted, huh?
The euro touched a new low following the release of the ADP data, 119.11, currently 119.16. The beat the ADP numbers, a revision higher. Ahead of the non-farm payrolls on Friday. We've seen a new low in the euro.
I'm going to switch this to the daily and see if that
dollar index now 35 cents, the highs of the day, 92.69. U.S. bond market.
Daily 5. Little role reversal thing here, maybe.
10-year no future touched a low of 127.5, currently 127.01. The U.S. 10-year yield up about 1 3/4 basis points to just below 2.15%. Yesterday morning at this time, we were trading, testing below that 2.1% mark, which had been the low for 2017. Two 10-year spread up to 81 basis points now.
Just kind of flipping around. Euro is quite strong versus maybe some other currencies. There might have been a better one to trade. Yeah, so we got another news event coming up in 13 minutes or 12 minutes, right? I'm okay with the entry, so there's nothing really more for me to do. It's strange that we got such a great number and it moved so little. ADP is usually a pretty good, yeah, I guess they're both probably the same, right? So we can check everybody else out. Yeah, CAD's making its move, right? Dollar does seem strong if you're going to watch the index. That's the dollar index right here. So remember, we want gold to fall, so maybe we can buy it. We can check some of the yen pairs. So USD yen hit that pivot cluster. That's interesting. Could be a little deadly to our euro dollar trade. In fact, I think that's almost more important than what we saw in our euro dollar chart. Because think of it this way: if USD yen can't go up, euro dollar can't fall. Very, very strange. Not any of the movement, but just the lack of volatility. People should be back by now, or coming back. Or the other way of interpreting this is headline employment data is no longer the thing that's important to us, right? So we got a good jobs report. Great, so what? It's just not our concern anymore. Cedric, don't even think that way. So we wait. Let's change this from Kiwi Swissy. What do you guys want to track on here? Fred, I think the stock market's going to go up 5% a year for the next 5 years. Now, if you want to beat that, you're going to need a hedge fund. Funny thing is, everyone moved out of hedge funds. But when they were in hedge funds, they should have been in indexes. Now they've all moved to indexes, but now they should be in hedge funds. The market is absolutely stupid. Euro peso. I don't even think we have a euro peso. Sorry, bro.
Just a reminder, we're about 5 minutes now for some more data. We're going to get the second look at personal income, personal GDP price index, as well as GDP data. The annualized GDP expected at 2.7% versus 2.6% in the preliminary look. Price index expected at 1%. Personal consumption expected at 3%, up from 2.8%. PC core expected at 0.9%, which would be in line with the preliminary reading. Also out of Canada, we're going to get the current account balance
Well, the peso shouldn't have a high spread. USD Mexican peso is about the same, roughly, as anything else. So I threw on Aussie yen. Remember one time years ago I played around with Thai baht yen. Well, Richard, you say your spread on USD Mexican peso is quite large, but then when you add it up monetarily, because you might say, oh my God, it's like a 300 pip spread, but it's worth $3. And then you trade the euro dollar, and that spread is, let's say, $2. So adding up the pips is not the right way of calculating what the spread costs. Got to remember, peso isn't worth a lot. Therefore, the spread's going to be high, but the valuation is still going to be cheap. So try it. Trade 1 mini lot USD Mexican peso, 1 mini lot USD peso, and then trade 1 mini lot euro dollar. I don't think you'll find there's a dramatic difference in the amount of money it costs you to trade. So you're saying your spread's 20 pips, which is about the same value as 2 pips on euro dollar. It's about the same. It's not exactly, of course, but I don't think you're going to find it's prohibitively different. But a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, if they 20 pips on a currency pair spread, I could just never, ever, ever, ever consider that. But euro dollar and USD peso, let's say either way cost you $2. $2 is $2. 7:30
90
back.
seconds now. 90 seconds now. We'll get the second look at second quarter GDP expected at 2.7%, up from 2.6% prior. The GDP price index expected at 1%. Personal consumption expected at 3% versus 2.8% previously. The PC core expected at 0.9%, which would be unchanged. Canada is expected to see a current account deficit of $17.2 million in the quarter.
So the webinar is at 7:30. The release is at 8:30.
Thirty seconds. We'll read off with the second look at second quarter GDP, looking for 2.7%.
2.7? You crazy. Yes, Brooke. FX Street. 136.
GDP 3%, 0.3 above expectations. Price index 1% in line.
3.0, man.
3.3% above 3% expected.
Woo!
Core PCE at 0.9% in line with expectation. Canada current account deficit narrower than expected at 16.3 billion versus 17.4 expectation. We had GDP beating by 3%. Second look
119, 3.3%. Hey, I just made $250.
Treasury yield extend gains. Well, the dollar also moving to fresh highs. The
We're
euro
going to
dipping below
Sizzler. We're going to Sizzler.
128.70, 128.90. The dollar index moving higher along with U.S. Treasury yields after the beat there. The second look for both GDP and personal consumption. The dollar index at 92.83. Gold futures have moved back towards the lows of the session. And again, U.S. interest rates are higher. The 10-year modestly higher, though, at 2.3%.
Yeah, Freddie Boy says, hey, they got to raise now. Sounds dangerous, though, doesn't it? Right. I could just see the guy at the side of the road crying in his hands, sitting on the edge of the curb, like, what happened to you, man? I lost all my money. The Fed would just have to raise the rates. They just had to. But they didn't. That was TradeTheNews.com, Percy. Been working with TradeTheNews.com for about 12 years, I think. 11 years. Longer than I've had children, so 12 years? 13 years? I forget. Yeah, I'm older than Forex. Retail, anyways. Put it this way. I was one of the first people in the world to use webinars to show my live screen trading, like ever. Older than YouTube. Used to type in Forex on YouTube. I was the first like 14 pages of videos. No, Trade the News. Yeah. So look at that big bounce. Already made my money. Are you going to take a second shot or what? Plan it out now. What are you going to do? 50%. You're going to get nitpicky, huh? Oh, I wanted it to go 2 pips higher. Yeah, Mr. T. Imagine opening up a Forex account and you have no charts. How do you decide to buy and sell? Amazing, huh? No charts. I used to talk to professional investors. They would laugh at me, laugh in my face because I used technical analysis. It was like the funniest, most ridiculous thing they'd ever heard. Clearly, I was a moron. Clearly. That's just market timing. Here we go. Second chance come and gone. Yeah, the big light strategy, Greg. So to answer that question, and a lot of you guys know this story, but I used to open my my trading platform, and there was a screen that kind of looked like this. There was no chart. Okay, it kind of looked like this, except there were some more columns, and I don't think I could even add. All right, so anyways, that's the best I could do. So it had all these numbers, and one of the columns had to do with volatility. Okay? So I gathered the numbers, pop them into a spreadsheet, and I'd spend about an hour a day doing calculations. And when all my various calculations were done, I knew what I wanted to trade. Isn't that funny? That's how I did it. Didn't even look at a chart to decide what I wanted to trade. And yet, so new traders now, like your generation, if you don't mind me saying it that way, you log in, you look at a chart, you're like, oh, what do I want to trade? There's like no rhyme or reason. What did you just sell? I don't even know what I just sold, but it was the MACD. MACD told me to sell Kiwi Swissy. You're like, wow, you have any fundamental reason for that? You're like, no, MACD told me. Like, well, did you want to do that yesterday? I have no idea what I wanted to do yesterday. Every time I look at a chart, it's all new, right? So you got to get away from the video game attitude. And also this idea, like, if you blow up your trade account, just reset it to another one. Right? That's another video game mentality. Right? Game over, insert coin. You just pop into another one, do it again, and again, and again, and again. But what if you didn't get a second chance? Would you take it more seriously? You blow up your trading account, and somebody cuts off a hand. You're like, damn! You know, like, yeah, something like that. Right? It's like all of a sudden you're like, every trade is going to be deadly serious. It's going to require lots of setups. And a lot of the time, you're not even going to trade because you only go for the low-hanging fruit. You like the sure thing. No, Richard, I don't have a giant cup. I have a small head. I'm just like a midget. But I prefer little person. Yeah. Yeah, actually, wouldn't that be funny? Oh my God, if my picture was there, oh my God, that would be so funny. You should see my beer mug. All right, so I guess we're done. You can do your follow-ups, right? I mean, you either re-shorted or you didn't. I don't know what else, right? But this is either going to fall or not fall. We don't need to stare at it. Right? So everyone get what occurred on the scalp? Sold a 50% retracement, with which I also had a daily pivot. Sold that. I had an OCO set, 25 pip stop, 25 pip limit. So I sold a 50% retracement of the spike 1 minute candle after the ADP. It did nothing for several minutes, so I sold here. Did nothing for the 15 minutes until GDP came out, came all the way down, took me out for profit, and then stopped falling. So I don't think I was ever in a losing position, maybe one pip or something. And then your second chance would have been to sell in the sweet spot in here. And it's taking its sweet time. And that's it. So 250 bucks. Time to go to Vegas. So anyways, hey, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Another big news day. Another big news day. And then Friday, another big news day. There's stuff going on. These are decent markets. But as you can see, they're still obviously thin. You know what I mean? So you be a little bit cautious there, right? Okay. So once again, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And thank you for being a client to TradersWay.com. We appreciate you. We work hard for you. We want you to succeed. See you tomorrow.